Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. How's it, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk. We basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm here with Candy Mon, who is new to the channel. Um, Candy Mon, welcome. We will be talking about your cosplay and convention experience from the cosplays you've done, how you got into it, the cons you've gone to, and just general advice you want to throw out there. So to begin, I gotta ask, what made you come up with the name Candy Mon?
Oh, that's an awesome question. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. But a lot of people come up to me assuming that Candy Mon came from different places. So when they get it right, it's really fun. Some people say, "Oh, is it like Pokemon?" Some people ask if it's. I've had people ask if it's like a play on Cookie Monster. I've had people ask if it's a reference to the Candy Man films. It's actually because when I was little, I started using Lilimon the Digimon as my username, basically everywhere. And when I became a cosplayer, there was like a conversation going on about sort of copyright and people on social media, their names being subject to copyright lawsuits and
Hmm.
things like that. And I was like, okay, if I'm gonna make this like a platform for myself, I want to make sure that my name isn't copywritten. So I chose Candymon because I really like candy and sugar, and I have a big sweet tooth. So I put candy in front of the Lilimon name, and I've been Candymon ever since. So that's where that name comes from.
Nice. How long have you been cosplaying for, if you don't mind me asking?
Okay, so there's kind of a few different answers to this. If we're talking about my very first cosplay, that was
We do count that.
yeah, I back in 2016, I was between the eighth grade and my freshman year of high school. And I had a friend who wanted to go to a Comic Con with me, and I had been to my father's actually a really big nerd and got me into a bunch of like I was into Marvel and other like superhero properties at the time. So he had brought me to conventions before, and I had a friend who had gotten really into cosplay, which I hadn't really heard of before, but I had seen other people dressing in costumes at conventions. So this kind of put like a word to what I was doing. And for her birthday, which was really close to mine, she wanted to go to Fan Expo Boston. Now it's Fan Expo Boston. At the time it was actually Boston Comic Con, and
Yeah,
they got kind of
I've heard fan
yeah,
expos like buying out like Wizard World and all those
yeah.
other ones.
So they kind of got gobbled up by Fan Expo, but at the time it was just Boston Comic Con. And my friend was like, "Oh, I want to cosplay to this convention for both of us turning 14." So I was like, okay, I can do that. And I was really into My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic back in middle school. And so I made this like humanized Pinkie Pie cosplay. It wasn't quite the Equestria Girls version, if people are familiar with that. It wasn't quite that, but it also wasn't quite fully the pony either. It was just kind of like a humanized version, very basically inspired by Equestria Girls. And my friend was Scarlet from this very short-lived Disney animated series called Star Darlings.
I've heard of
Uh,
it.
you have? That's awesome. Because I feel like that one unfortunately kind of got lost to time. But the two of us cosplayed from that, and we hung out at Boston Comic Con. We had a great time, and that I didn't really cosplay too much after that. I did like one other convention, but then I kind of got into the swing of cosplaying in 2019 when I joined the Idol community,
If
and
no, I'm
I
not mistaken,
started.
this is the said show.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! Yeah, that was it.
I've vaguely heard of it, but I've never. And which character
Yeah.
did you say you
I wasn't. So that was my friend. My friend was Scarlet from Star Darlings.
okay,
I
the one
did.
with the pink hair, right? Purplish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
You said
then
you were a Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony?
I was Pinkie Pie from My Little Pony. Yeah.
Okay, continue, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. And so when I joined the Idol community in 2019, and I got really into J-pop, and Love Live was especially popular at the time. That's when I kind of started getting back into cosplay. So when I started sort of performing at conventions, 2019 kind of an inconvenient time to get it back into cosplay because that was about 6 months before the
Or
whole world shut down.
yeah, I remember everyone was doing a lot of
Um,
cosplay stuff on TikTok and everything.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's kind of when cosplay really hit for me. Was I joined TikTok at the end of 2019, and I've kind of been doing both live performances and TikToks and all that jazz ever since. So that's kind of where
Nice.
my history with cosplay is. So I really the Candy Mon thing and like being online really started in 2019, but my first cosplay was back in 2016.
So you're almost if you can remember when in 2016.
Summer. So it was July.
So so summer of next year, as I say it on here, you'll hit your 10-year marks, and as I call it, if you've been cosplaying for, since you'll be cosplaying for 10 years next year, you'll be a cosplay veteran. You have seen the
Yeah.
changes. You actually got to see, you got actually got to see what cosplay was like before, COVID took over and everyone was doing it on TikTok, and
Oh yeah.
you got to be part of that era of where
Mhm.
like TikTok was just booming on cosplayers
Yeah.
coming to
I
TikTok around
will
that time.
I will say it's like I would not be here. It's unfortunate we're having this conversation right now because as the two of us are speaking, there's like 5 days until the TikTok ban that's
Mhm.
kind of looming over our heads.
Well,
And there's this
hopefully they that one guy I've seen he gets approved for that extra 270 days.
yeah, it's kind of a this big will they won't they right now.
Oh
Um
yeah.
but I genuinely would not be I don't think I would be where I am today without me choosing to join TikTok when I was 17. Because it feels so cheesy to say this, but it genuinely changed my life. Like me posting stuff and having things turn out the way they did in 2020 changed my life in so many meaningful ways. And I'm genuinely glad it happened. For all the ups and downs that I've had, it was a big life changer for me.
Well, you already answered my question about the impact it's had on you, so that's
Oh, yeah, yeah. Would you like me to get more specific than that, or?
I think that should cover it.
Yeah.
Well, and plus we'll be talking more throughout this.
Yeah, of course.
Um, so kind of starting off with like convention related questions. So you said your
Yeah.
first convention was Boston Comic Con back in
Yes.
2016. What
Yeah.
was that like before they switched it to Over Fan Expo, and have you gone since
Oh
then?
my God. Yeah. Okay. So actually, that was my first time cosplaying at Fan Expo, but the previous year I had attended with my dad. And so I was 13. It was for my 13th birthday. It was a 13th birthday present from my dad.
Ooh,
And
fancy.
it was in a I forget what I forget what convention center it was in, but I know between then and now they have changed convention centers. Um, but back then, I remember I we had lucked out because my dad had pre-ordered tickets because the line wrapped around the entire building, and I remember
Checks.
the following year, the line wrapped around the whole building, and my friend's parents did not pre-order the tickets, so we were stuck waiting there for like 2 to 3 hours. Um, the atmosphere at the time I think was a lot more casual from what I remember. I remember walking through the dealer halls, and a lot of the dealers I saw at those dealer halls are still some of the dealers I see at Comic Cons today in my local area. Back in 2015, 2016, Homestucks were all the rage. I did not know what Homestuck
I've heard
was.
my fair share of Homestuck cosplay stories,
I
including the iconic Sharpie bath.
Oh yeah. I did not know what Homestuck was at the time, but I remember seeing them. But what I do remember was at the time I was getting into this video game series called Danganronpa. And this was like when I was very first starting to know it. And then I saw Danganronpa cosplayers walking around and I'm like, Dad, they're from the video game I like. Which was really cool. So I think back then because I was so brand new, I just kind of wanted to wander and people watch the whole time. And I think that was a lot more doable at Boston Comic Con back then. Like you could just walk around and people watch and watch the booths. Now at Fan Expo, that's borderline impossible. The crowds are just absolutely insane. And I don't know if that's specifically because of the Fan Expo takeover or if it's because of um the nature of pop culture conventions and how much more popular they've gotten, or maybe it's because Fan Expo invites a certain type of guest that would elicit that response. Because I know they get a lot of like those A to B
It's
lister celebrities, you know.
it's a mixture of both from what I've seen, and I'm not bashing on Fan Expo, but I've noticed that it's Fan Expo. You have these big guests that are coming. You have these people who will go to the con, not saying all, but there are those people who go to that con, get something signed from that said guest, and then sell it.
Yes.
So
Oh,
it's a mixture.
yes.
It's a mixture of it's a big con. Any artist will try to get in to. Again, I'm not bashing Fan Expo. I would love to go to Fan
Yeah, yeah.
Expo, but like Fan Expo is definitely one of those conventions that are like they'll get all these well-known actors and guests, and you have people lining up to get inside, and like you said, you're probably around wrapped around the building, and hopefully you're not like you're somewhere in the middle and not the end, so you can get in.
Oh, yeah, yeah. With Fan Expo though, I think the times I've been lucky enough where I'm at this point experienced enough in cons to know that certain cons you just have to be there really early in the morning.
Mhm.
You just have to do that. I and with Fan Expo, I've never been in the position where I haven't had my badge and have come super late or anything, like an hour or so late. So I've always had the ease of just walking in, but I have definitely seen what the lines can look like
Oh yeah.
for those who don't.
Oh,
And I'm
especially those
like,
autograph lines. Oh
yeah,
my God.
like kids in strollers crying and stuff because their parents are just sitting there waiting because they're not really as familiar with convention environments like this, and it's like you're walking down the line of people and you kind of feel bad. You're like, oh, these are all the people that need to buy their badges. Oh,
Hmm.
oh
Oh yeah, those
no.
those those badge lines, if you're not early,
Yeah,
and there's like a reason why like a lot of cons don't just mail them out because you got thousands of people, who
it's
are
a
or
lot. Yeah.
and there's the chance that your badge may not end up getting to you. So, you better
Hmm.
have a chance of getting there as soon as possible and everything. Which kind of brings me to my next question. Advice for someone who's wanting to go to their first con, whether it's a small con, because I categorize cons.
Hmm.
So small cons are just, like at a little hotel, at a library, at some meeting hall or something. Then you got your medium cons, as I categorize them, Disneyland, which are, like a lot of people know about and will go to. And then you got your big cons, as I call them, Disney World, where like
Hmm.
everyone knows about it. Everyone wants to go. Are they into this stuff? No, but they want to go because, it's something that everyone goes to and all this stuff happens. So my advice is advice for someone who's wanting to go to their first big or small convention.
I think it really depends on the type of person you are because I find that I have friends that thrive in different types of convention environments. Personally, I'd say I'm the type of person that thrives in the Disneyland type con as you were describing it, like the con that's small enough where you feel like you can walk around and socialize with everyone and not feel judged for it, but the con that's still big enough where they have significant events that you feel like you can participate in or go to and have a fun time no matter what time of the day it is. The benefit of going to a big con is that there are so many things you can do. No matter what time of day it is, no matter like where you are in the convention, there's always something to do and you never get bored. But you can get overwhelmed, especially if it's a crowded big con. Like people who are prone to claustrophobia, that might not that might
Mhm.
not be so much for them. I know
Oh, especially those,
yeah.
especially those, especially those vendors and dealers. Oh my God.
Yeah. I know Anime Boston tends to have overcrowding issues. They hit capacity on Saturday last year. Um, the PAX East was a little much for some of my friends in terms of crowding, and that was on Friday. I saw how it looked Saturday, and I was so glad I didn't choose to go Saturday. um, and Fan Expo, especially as we mentioned before, can have those types of issues. But again, those are the types of cons where there's always something you can be doing.
Oh yeah,
You're
no.
never bored. So it's so there's those ups and downsides. And then with the tiny con, it doesn't take up too much time or too much prep to go to. It's cheap, it's affordable, it's probably local to you. Like if you're going to a con that small, then there's probably one not too far from your house. Like it's you don't have to worry about hotels. Like those are the types of like worries you don't have with the smaller con. But you might find that there isn't a lot to do there. There isn't big events that really engage you as much. But it can be nice if you're just there with a small group of friends to socialize for a day. I've gone to plenty of events like that and have enjoyed myself more than enough. Actually, this past weekend I went to Medieval Merriment at Mill Number Five. RIP. That venue is closing soon. But that was my last event there, and despite the fact that there wasn't a ton like to do in terms of events, I still had fun walking around just with my friends, being able to dress up and enjoy ourselves in that kind of environment because that those small conventions bring on great social environments. So if you're looking more to socialize and less for activity, that's probably your better bet.
Oh no, I think I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, this is gonna be a biased thing, but like I get it, there are those people who want to go to a big con right away because they hear how popular and how well known it is and this and that, but then they go and it's like oh, this is what's all going on. Like oh, they kind of
Yeah,
start
like I didn't do pre-planning for this. I didn't know this required a guide. Like,
always, always. Always, and then I can
yeah.
stress this enough on here. Always do your research when traveling for a con. And I'm sure you are a big advocate when it comes to doing research, whether it's for hotels, traveling, weather, what the con is like.
Oh my gosh,
Look
yes.
up videos on YouTube. Don't
Oh
go
my
in,
gosh,
do
yes.
not
Yeah.
go in blind to this con because you may think, oh yeah, this con I've heard it's big and so and so is going to be there. And then you go there and just like so
And then
much
you're
thing is
buried
going.
waiting in that line for 5 hours to meet Steve
Mm-hmm.
from Blue's
And
Clues, like a
those,
bunch of people at Rhode Island Comic Con were. Like,
but
you're overwhelmed.
I'm sure you agree. Do your research when it comes to
Yes.
traveling for cons,
Yes, yes, yes.
and especially since you're living there over in the Northeast. Like there's the rain, there's the snow, and
Ugh, ugh.
I'm sure there have been times where you wanted to go to a con during like the winter, but like the roads, the weather doesn't really permit it.
Yeah, a lot of people weren't able to attend that event that I was at last weekend purely because of road travel reasons. I was close enough where it didn't really impact me because it was around a half an hour away and the roads that we were using were well maintained, but the other people weren't as lucky. And they were maybe on like worse maintained roads on their way to that event, so they canceled going altogether because the snow was just too bad. So things like that happen. Like if you're traveling outside of your region, especially, make sure to keep that in mind.
No, and I don't think people like quite understand that I get it. You want to go to this con really bad, but is it really worth but getting in a potential accident, getting stuck and finding out, oh, I don't have money for a hotel or another way back? Like
Oh yeah,
really, really, and I'm sure you can agree, plan ahead.
plan ahead. I even for Katsucon, I actually have the with the train I'm taking, you can pay a little extra for a cancellation, like last minute cancellation protection. I did that just in case. Because like it's February in New England. Something could happen. I don't know. Like I think that's a smart choice.
No, I wholeheartedly agree on that. Like it's a guessing game. I mean, especially if you're traveling out of state too, it can be hard.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm also sure you will agree this when you're traveling for a con, have a set, and well, I allow everyone to have use an F bomb, use one F bomb, but have a set fucking budget.
Oh, I have so much to say about that. I have so much to say about that, buddy. I don't spend a ton of money on cons or cosplays or anything, at least comparatively to what I've seen other people spend. I am a I'm a hoarder. I'm a hoarder of stuff to use for my costumes. I am like a budgeting king here. I don't like overspending, but I'll see some people who are like, "Guys, I'm so broke." And I'm like, "How did you get broke?" And they're like, "I bought all these several $100 things." And I'm like, "Yeah, you could probably get that for cheaper on the internet. You didn't have to buy that at the con."
Mm-mm,
Yeah,
no.
like I'm like it's the type of thing where I do spend a lot on cosplaying conventions because that's my main hobby and the main thing I do with my free time. But it's the type of thing where I pick and choose my battles. Like I'm not going to if you think you can find something somewhere for cheaper, don't necessarily pounce on it the moment you see it at a con.
Mm-mm.
Walk the whole dealer hall first, see what you like, and then walk around again and spend on what you think is worth buying at the con.
Oh no.
Artists Alley especially is probably a better place to spend your money than dealer's hall.
Oh yeah, no, like I've seen like plus you're supporting your local
Yeah.
artists and everything, and I feel like dealer's hall is great,
Yeah.
but
Usually, yeah.
half that shit can be like, like you seen those TikToks where they say, "Oh, how many dollars are you gonna spend at the con? $20." And
$20
then
and then they fall on the
like
floor and it's like
like,
$125.
exactly, like because you need that money for food and everything. You need that money,
Yeah.
well, you need that money for water because energy drinks don't count as a source of
No.
food.
No, Red Bull, Monster, Prime, none of those count as a meal.
No,
By the way,
because
guys.
like you do not want to be at a con. You're like 2 hours in the con. Next thing you know, you start feeling woozy and you pass out. Like,
It's happened. It has happened. I've borne witness to it. It's not fun.
mm-mm.
Not fun for anyone.
But no, I'm glad you believe in having a set budget, especially
Yeah.
because the hotel is going to be costly, food is going to
Yeah.
be costly. Like if you can go without buying something at a con, great. But if you want to buy something, set some money aside for like, oh, I want to get this or that, and then the rest is for your food or
Yeah,
like a
you're
cab or an Uber or whatever, so you can get to it from the con or the train or a bus, you
yeah.
know?
Whatever you need to be at the con, that's the priority over the stuff you want because I have been in the situation before where a um you're in this situation where you spend all your money on the stuff you don't need and then you're stuck with your group of friends being like, "Sorry, I can't split for the Uber. All of my cash is gone." And you don't want to be that guy because
Mm-mm.
I've been in a room with that guy and it's very unpleasant. So just make sure you're budgeting accordingly for this kind of thing. Don't be the one to run out of money in your group and be stuck having to call someone to pick you up.
Yeah, no, because that can ruin everyone. And this brings me to my next question. What are your thoughts on the buddy system, as I call it, convention X buddy, someone to bring with you to a con,
Mhm.
just in case, like, you get overwhelmed or, someone to remind you, hey, you got to take your medication or you could
Mhm.
pass out or something, you know?
Okay, so I'm gonna get into a bit of a personal anecdote, and I'm sorry if this gets a little dark.
No, it's okay. It's
But it
okay.
is, but it's real. It's what the convention experience is for some people. So when I was pretty young, um, there was a gentleman who this was pretty early into me performing at conventions, who took a picture with me, and this gentleman was significantly older than me. Um, he um, he was very interested in me from that point forward, and we would direct message back and forth a little bit. Um, and then he expressed romantic interest in me. Now I was underage, and he was significantly older. So I told him no, and I told him that I was a minor, and he apologized and kind of backed off. But I ended up blocking him on a lot of things because that just made me deeply uncomfortable. He proceeded to kind of like hunt me down on social media, um, and posted a lot of really long, rambly posts kind of about me in both subtle and unsubtle ways. And for a while, up until he moved basically across the country, so now he's not really a concern to me anymore. But up until that point, I was scared of going to conventions alone because I didn't want to run into him and be stuck in that position. Even though I was an adult at that point, it still was a very uncomfortable experience to be potentially confronted by that man. So um, I was very, very, very intense on needing a buddy at the convention at all times.
So that's
And
completely fair.
it was and I'm still, even though now I don't need someone attached to my hip necessarily all the time, I'm still a very strong proponent of the buddy system at a convention for safety's sake, because at the end of the day, you don't know who's at an environment like this. um Security tries their best, and every security I've seen at every convention I've been to has been wonderful, but it's for your own health and safety, it's best to have at least one person at the convention that you can go to reliably when if and when something goes wrong.
No, I
Because yeah, especially if you're prone to health issues, that can be very
well,
helpful.
yeah, whether it's, physical or mental health, you just
Yeah.
it doesn't, and also be sure to have your phone on you at all times, despite the
Yes.
con having shitty internet.
Yeah. At least it gives you the ability to, if you do walk away, to get to somewhere where you can call someone. I love my portable charger. It's great. Um just for, again, for safety's sake, like it has saved not just me but other people in those times, because I did have someone come up to me being like, "Oh, my phone is dead. My mom, I need to call my mom." And I was like, and she was very panicked, and I was like, "Don't worry, I have a portable charger." So it saves not just you but everyone around you, you know?
Oh, I agree, and I'm sure you can also agree, and I know this is like this can be a gray area, but like if you are under the age of 18, it is always best to have friends or family go with you. Like I get it,
Exactly. Yes.
I get it. Parents think, oh, well, this is a like no, don't just
No
drop
drop
your
offs. No drop
don't
offs.
drop. I
Don't do
get
that.
you're not a fan of this stuff or you're not really into this, but don't drop your kid off because you don't know what could happen at a con. It's just
Mhm.
you don't. I'm not trying to make cons sound scary, but like it's not probably the wisest thing to have drop off your kid. I don't care how mature they are. I don't care if I get flagged for this, but like it is not wise to drop your teenage daughter, son off at a con by themselves.
No, like if you're going to have a, first of all, the child should probably be a little older by this point. Make sure that they have a group of friends with them. If anything happens, it that saves them. Because honestly, the con, I've said this a few times, the con is not your babysitter. Um,
Exactly.
and it's the the staff at conventions, oftentimes volunteers. Most of us don't get paid for most of what we do when I work conventions. It's We aren't necessarily equipped to parent your child, or if something were to happen, to um get your child out of a dangerous situation. um the convention isn't necessarily responsible for taking care of your child if they, and I know you probably, a parent probably doesn't assume, well, oh well, my child's very well behaved. Kids are often the ones who are caught
Mhm.
stealing from conventions,
I've
caught
seen I've
vandalizing.
seen my fair share of that. I know a few.
Yeah.
I know of what few no well co who feel few well-known cosplayers who are quite controversial at convention. I'm not gonna say
Oh,
names.
oh, yeah.
I'm not
No,
gonna
no,
say
no.
names, but
We
if
all
you know,
know.
you know.
We all know. So it's
Hmm.
like there are kids who will or otherwise vandalize things or get into trouble, and it's and if that's not your child, it could be another child that ends up doing it to your child. So
Hmm.
it's something that you can it's it's more of a matter of, if I think it's safer if they're in a group, they can watch out for each other. If you have friends that you know your kid is safe around, that they know, then yeah, more than willing, within reason, because I wouldn't let my 10-year-old or something run around a convention alone.
Oh,
I think
exactly.
that's very unsafe. But if your child's a little older, if they're in like high school and they're with a group of their high school friends, especially if it's a club, like a school club,
Hmm.
walking around the convention, that's one thing. But don't just drop your child off alone at a convention and expect the employees or volunteers at said convention to be able to parent your child. That's
No,
not their job.
exactly. Whether it's a regular attendee who doesn't cosplay or someone who does cosplay, always got to be careful when going to especially if you're going to a convention that you've never gone to before, whether it's in your state or out of state, especially out of state. Like
Hmm.
always be careful. Also, please be respectful of the con and the building that they're hosting it in.
Yes, 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 yes. But that especially goes for adult cosplayers, because I don't think they've learned that at this point for some of them.
Oh God, no! It's sad when if like I get it if it's like a little kid, I can kind of understand to a certain degree, but if it's an adult, it's like at this point you're just making an ass out of
Whole
yourself.
whole conventions have been shut down because of those types of things. So also,
Mm.
if you want to keep your convention around, make sure you respect the hotel. Just saying.
Because not only are you staying there, but like there are regular hotel guests staying there. Someone who works at a hotel, I can say this wholeheartedly that, just because you're there to have a good time doesn't mean you need to cause chaos.
Hmm. Yeah.
Coming from a housekeeper,
Yeah.
So you already answered quite a few questions, I guess. Now on to conventions you plan on going to
Yeah.
for the 2025 so I call them convention seasons or con
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
When does your con season officially start?
Oh, this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the thing with me is that I go to a bunch of small local events as well as bigger conventions. So for me, I'm very busy. I think I went to 15 events last year, 15, 16,
Nice.
including small events and big events. This year, I'm starting out my season with a lovely small event that's in its second year, called Metamorphosis. And for those who are unfamiliar with Metamorphosis, which I'm assuming is probably the majority of your podcast, but I highly recommend. This is going to be my first time going, but I've had friends who have massively enjoyed it. It is a 21 plus rave style event surrounding J-pop and idol culture. And it's very cosplay heavy and oriented. But it's for
It's called Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis.
Where is
Yes.
that located?
It is located in Somerville, Massachusetts.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now.
You can also look at Metamor's page on Instagram to take a look at the details for that.
Okay, oh, never mind. That's probably not it. Oh, yeah, I'll have to look it up though.
Yeah,
So yeah, what's that? So it's a 21 plus like event in a sense.
yeah. So it's mainly surrounding J-pop, but just general idol culture and music, and a lot of cosplay performers will be there doing some dances from shows like Love Live or um, D4DJ or Vocaloid, lots of Vocaloid, like Hatsune Miku and Project Sekai and stuff like that. So there's that's kind of the main centric of the event, and then the rest of the event is spent listening to remixes and having a party to music from a lot of those types of shows, a lot of anime music, and game music from Japan, and just dancing and having a good time. It's 21 plus because there is alcohol, um, but I am ready to go, and I'm gonna enjoy myself there.
Nice. It sounds like a fun event.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Yes, 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 yes.
okay.
There it is. It's run by this lovely group called Metamore. They are a New England cosplay idol duo, and they run another event called Idol Jam, which is their all ages event. Um,
Okay.
so they're oriented towards J-pop, K-pop, Vocaloid,
January 18th,
general.
2025, 6
General.
p.m. Idol Showcase. Then ends at, oh, so it's a 4 hour Arts at the Armory. 15, not bad, honestly. 15, so roughly $16 because of the $1.75 fee.
Yeah.
Not bad. What other cons do you plan on going to this year?
So my next event after Metamorphosis should be KatsuCon, which is in Washington D.C. This is
I,
also a first time event for me,
I've
but
heard
I
of.
think that's far
Nice.
better known.
Oh yeah.
It's it again my first time going. I'm really looking forward to it. So I've got a few cosplays planned for that. I actually haven't debuted any of those costumes yet. They're all new. Um, and I'm working on them right now. I'm doing some last minute con crunch, but I'm hoping to have them done, ready to go by KatsuCon. I'm rooming with some friends of mine and taking the train down from Providence. So it should be a great time. Lots of really advanced, intricate costumes are there most of the time. It's kind of best known for the elaborateness of a lot of people's costumes. And I already sense that I'm gonna have a lot of imposter syndrome while I'm there. Um, just being surrounded by a lot of really talented people, but I'm super excited to show off what I have and to meet new people because I think the socialization of that event will probably be the highlight for me because I get to meet a lot of people that I otherwise would not meet at New England cons, which I've been going to up through this point. So,
I mean, it sounds like you're really excited about it too.
oh yeah, yeah, it's something I've been saving up for a while. More or less my college graduation gift to myself.
Nice, nice. Now, oh yeah. What is a con you always wanted to go to, but you've never had the chance to go because it's just right now it's not in the budget, but if you got the opportunity, you would go in a heartbeat.
Well, since I'm already going to Katsucon, I'll eliminate that for now. If I'm gonna think about other cons that I've wanted to go to, there's a few. I have a list going. One of them would probably be Komike in Japan, in Tokyo. Probably the summer one because I don't know how I'd be able to handle the Tokyo winter like that. But that's probably the most famous convention in Japan. I've always wanted to travel internationally for a convention, so that would probably be my number one because I'd love to be able to cosplay there and just say I've been. I'd love to check out. It's most well known for like its doujinshi sellers and a lot of independent artwork, like fan art and things like that. So that tends to be heavily what Japanese conventions are like anyway. It's mostly fan art because they have better access to official merch than the rest of us do. So um, that would be exciting. Also, California has a lot of events that I've wanted to go to.
Oh yeah.
I've only been to California once when I was a lot younger. So they have Anime Expo, which is really crowded and terrifying right now. So probably not
Oh,
anytime soon.
if you've seen the videos from last,
Yes, I
if you've seen
have.
the videos from
Oh,
last year, oh my God,
yeah. That
that's a con. I'll just
Yeah, I
wait
might
and
sit on my hands for a little bit and wait. And maybe if they expand the venue a little bit more, then and they can like have more space to fit the amount of people that want to go, then maybe that will be when I go. Offkai Expo is also in California, which is the premier and probably the biggest VTuber convention. Um, and that's kind of a place you get to meet and interact with a lot of VTubers. I love concerts for VTubers, and
ooh.
stuff like that. So I would probably go see like every show there.
You may have a chance to get meet probably one of the most well-known VTubers out there, Iron Mouse.
Oh yeah, that would be so fun. I love Iron Mouse. She's so cute and fun.
Mm.
And I'd love to if she ever got to do like a 3D concert or something, I'd be hands
I
down.
know
I'd be
I
there.
know she did one a while back, I think.
I saw her 3D concert video from I think it was the Streamer Awards.
Yeah, that's the one that was like la earlier, like late last year, I
Yeah,
believe.
and I was like, those people do in that audience do not know how lucky they are that they get to see Iron Mouse right in front of their eyes.
Oh yeah, no, that was impressive. Shout out to
Yeah.
the people that made that, were able to make her character model do that.
Yeah. VTubers have been such a huge part of idol culture recently that it's
Hmm.
just my big um my big like hyperfixation kind of at the
Oh
moment.
yeah, no, no, I get that. I've actually interviewed a VTuber a while last year, so they're
Oh,
like the
that's so
coolest people,
fun.
cool people there.
Yeah.
Now into cosplays. Starting
Yeah.
off, advice for someone who wants to get into cosplay, but they're not sure what to do, because I know a lot of people, especially younger people or especially the younger generation, who look up cosplay. They see these well-known cosplayers do it and they think, "Oh, that's cosplay. I don't know if I want to do it then."
Yeah. I think back when I started it was almost a little more intimidating than it is now, or at least I'd hope it would be less intimidating now. I think when I was starting in cosplay back in 2016, the emphasis was always on canon, and it was like you have to look just like the source material. And I think that put a lot of pressure, especially on young people, because um, there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh, you have to look a very specific way in order to cosplay. You have to look just like the character, or you'll be like it's like a mistake, you know." Like not just in like how you physically present, but also the character, like the costume itself. If your costume isn't exactly like the costume in the photo and you don't look exactly like the character, then you're not doing it right. There was kind of that mentality in the community at the time. Like fan creation and elaboration was a little scarce. But then I think 2020 happened and that changed everything, at least in my opinion, from like someone who was in the community up until that point. I think 2020 and cosplay TikTok really changed the perception about how people go about cosplay now. Because suddenly, sorry, everyone was putting tons of accessories on their cosplay. You didn't have to wear the exact outfit that the character was wearing. You didn't have to style the wig exactly the way the character would. Maybe you don't look exactly like the character. Maybe you're a different gender or a different race, or your hair texture is different, or your face looks a bit different from the character. That didn't I felt that in 2020 that started to matter a whole lot less. There's always going to be those people who are like,
Oh, yeah, we
oh,
call
you
those
don't look,
gatekeepers.
yeah, gatekeepers who are like, oh, you don't look exactly like the character. And it's like, but I feel like that mentality started to really diminish in
Mm.
2020. And there's still, I think now we're kind of in more of like a middle ground with that. There are people who do like to do really canon accurate costumes and really pride themselves on that. But there are also people who don't and really like taking a character and using their artistic merit to dream up something
And
else. And I think it's healthy when you're starting to get into cosplay, when you're a newbie, starting up in this hobby, to think, okay, is this a character that I really love? And is this something that I think I can accomplish on sort of that beginner budget? Because I don't necessarily want people to jump in uh with this idea that they're going to spend like multiple hundreds of dollars on their first costume. Pick a character you like that you think is accomplishable within your budget, budget it out, see, okay, how much is this shirt going to cost? Because you don't necessarily need to go on Amazon and buy
hmm.
the costume straight from there. You can be like, okay, this person wears a collared shirt. School uniforms are great. Um, I cosplay a character by the name of Kyosuke. He's from a book series called Psycho, He wears a collared shirt, a like black blazer, gray pants, white shoes, this black and white tie, and he's got black hair, so I wear a wig with that. So budget all those out and say, okay, I can buy all those separately at Savers. And that's like a great way to
Is
make your first costume.
oh, I know that's your Deku.
Kyosuke is the one with the black hair, and I think I have the earring on in that photo.
Oh,
It's yeah, there he is.
okay. Kios. Okay, I'll be sure to mark that in the
Yeah.
thing.
So those types of cosplays are great for a beginner because you can make them as elaborate or as minimalistic as you want them to be, as long as it's within the budget that you've set for yourself, so that you can be like, okay, this is my first cosplay, and I don't have to worry about too much. I can just master the basics, like cutting a wig for the first time, cutting bangs for the first time, like adjusting things where you have to adjust them. Maybe the blazer's a little specific, and it's got like with my Aqua cosplay from Oshinoko. He's a little further down um in my photos.
Name is Aqua.
Aqua from Oshinoko.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just look up the
Yeah.
character.
So he had a school uniform blazer too, but he had a really like specific collar that was like black with a gold trim on it. So I just bought a blue blazer and then lined that collar with black fabric and lined it with a gold ribbon. And that's a very nice beginner skill to have, is slightly modifying costumes that are otherwise easily accessible.
There's also this version of.
Oh yeah, he's that's from second season.
Okay,
I do not have that costume.
I'm gonna have to look this anime up.
Oshinoko?
Yeah.
I haven't caught up on the manga yet. I
Oh,
heard some
oh,
rough things
oh!
happen.
I've seen
Yeah,
on
yeah,
TikTok.
yeah,
I've seen this anime brought up on
yeah.
TikTok.
That's that character's mom. My character's mom.
Okay, yeah,
She's the one with the purple hair. Yeah,
I've seen it on TikTok.
yeah. I got really, really into that. I actually went to the North American premiere for that. It was at Anime Boston. That's where they did the premiere for it.
Okay.
I
You can watch it on Hulu. Okay.
Yes, yes, you can.
I will have to watch that then.
Yeah, please do. It's especially season one is like gold to me. The first episode will leave you in tears. It's wonderful.
Okay, nice. Let's see here.
But yeah, for beginners, just pick something that you think is accomplishable within your budget and work on those beginner skills. Don't stress out about having to make something super elaborate right away.
That's duly noted. Thank you. That's some sound advice.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people like you said, even like a lot of characters, not even just from anime, have casual wear, so you can just buy
Yeah.
something at like at a thrift store or something, and bing bang boom, there's your outfit for a con, and if you have the right wig and pinning if you're able to wear contact lenses, people should
Yeah.
be able to recognize you, and not everyone has to recognize the character because like hell, I don't know a lot of characters from anime and video games, but like if like I still think it's cool though.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even I believe Weeb Chapel has a video. I don't know if it's in one of their individual channels, but they have a video going over every outfit that they own for Light Yagami from Death Note, because his wardrobe is just that wide. And sometimes you can look at an anime like that and it's like, okay, what's the most obscure outfit I can pull out from this? But it's still an outfit that the character wears. So,
No, I wholeheartedly agree. Um, you already answered my question about the thrift store thing. You already answered a question
yeah,
about that.
I use the thrift store all the time. I swear by it.
So, here's the question. Have you ever done like any body paint or makeup for your cosplays?
Oh, dear God. Me and body paint have a love-hate relationship. I I do makeup all the time. Like my makeup is mostly pretty simple because I don't think I've done too many characters that need all that elaborate makeup. I think the most elaborate I usually get is when a character has freckles, because I cosplay Deku from My Hero Academia, and that's a lot of how I got sort of recognized in my early days of doing cosplay. And for him, I've done multiple different methods of doing his freckles in the past, but the one I've grown particularly fond of is a friend taught me that I can wet a toothbrush and sort of spray that toothbrush in some, like rub it in some eyeshadow, brown eyeshadow, and then spray it on my face, and that it looks like freckles when it dries, which it does, and it looks really good. Um, so that's pretty fun for my makeup. But there was another time with Deku where I did this for a costume contest once, where I sort of drew this like green lightning. I don't think I have any good photos of it. But I drew this like green lightning bolts on the side of my face to represent his like black lightning powers. I thought those were pretty cool. And then there was the only one where I've really like painted myself per se was Frankie Stein from Monster High. I cosplayed them for Halloween in I think like 22 or 23. No, it was 22. Yeah, 2022. I cosplayed them for Halloween. And I did green face paint and I used like body socks on the rest of my body. And I didn't love how the makeup turned out, but apparently a lot of other people did. It was just kind of body paint just kind of comes off of me really fast. I have kind of oily skin sometimes, I think, when it interacts with the paint, so it's kind of hard. And then the only other time I wore Frankie was to a pride parade, and it started raining really heavily during the
This
pride parade, and all of my makeup washed off. Yeah, that was the pride parade. That was literally while we were inside during the pride parade, right before it started raining.
nice.
So I tend not to do it a lot, and I haven't cosplayed Frankie since, just because their face paint is such a hassle to maintain, because it rubs off all the time. And I know some people who can handle it well, but for me, every time I've tried to use a product that like seals it, it just doesn't work. So I'm still,
Yeah, no, you're not. You won't. You can't wear this, basically.
yeah. So I try to I'm still looking into methods to see how to best handle my face paint. Because I do want to wear Frankie again. I do have fun interactions with people, especially children, when I wear Frankie. That was a series I grew up with, and I love it so, so much. And I own so many Frankie dolls. Um, but you know, it's just a hassle to maintain those types of costumes, so I often avoid doing them.
That's completely fair and understandable.
I want to do more though. I would love to do some more characters that require face paint.
Now, speaking of that category, wigs. Advice for someone who wants to make their very first wig for a cosplay, because like from what I've seen, wig making can be a pain in the butt sometimes.
Yeah.
I saw your wig with the Hatsune Miku with like the
Oh,
blue and the
that one.
purple. That looked like a beast.
That was my magnum opus. Yeah. So that one's currently kind of half destroyed in my basement, and I have to fix it. So I have a pretty long list of wigs I've done. My biggest wig project ever was that Hatsune Miku wig, fairy type Hatsune Miku from the Pokemon X Vocaloid collaboration that they did. I was doing actually a full group for Anime Boston last year. We didn't have every type because 18 Mikus kind of would have been a lot. But we did get quite a few. We had Dragon Miku, and I think we had Bug Miku, and a
Oh,
few others. I
oh,
think we had.
this is the
Yes, 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 yes.
I'll
That
show a
was the
better
one.
pic. I'll show a better picture, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big wig. Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
huge. I So what I did was I bought two wigs. I bought a Luca wig, also a Vocaloid character, and a more traditional style Miku wig. And I deconstructed the pigtails and put the pink hair from the Luca wig into the pigtails. and took out the bang part from the Luca wig and put it on my base for my Miku, um, so that I could put the
For
little swirl in the front.
anyone
Yeah,
wondering.
I I braided those two pigtails with the pink and the blue so that I would get this nice curly texture, and I individually hot glued um tons of pearls and beads into that wig.
Oh yeah, I can see them all, yeah.
Yeah. In the selfie it's kind of easier to see. I also have these little, my friend had given me this bag of little like candy charms, and I had glued those into my wig. Um I I also glued in these flowers with the pearls on those flowers too. The flowers were from the dollar store actually.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, and that was probably the biggest wig project I've ever done. I do not recommend someone do that as their first wig project. Absolutely not. Um, Wigs, I recommend starting small. If you can find a wig where you basically just have to cut bangs, I think mastering cutting bangs is like the best cosplay skill you can have, because once you can cut bangs, you can cut all kinds of different kinds of bangs, and basically every character you'll need to cut bangs at some point, whether it's like a little triangle shape in like the front of your head or it's like straight across more traditional bangs. You're gonna have to cut bangs on most, if not all, cosplay wigs that you'll own. So master that skill first with a character that just has a very basic, maybe down hairstyle, or it comes with like clip ponytails, and try that first, because I think that's a great starting point for styling wigs. And then after that, the internet is your oyster. There are a billion tutorials about how to do almost every popular character's hairstyle, and once you know how to do those popular characters, you can easily branch out to something where you have more diversity in the hairstyle. I know certain characters can be very, very difficult on wig fronts. Ever seen someone try to make a Yu-Gi-Oh wig in their life? It is, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. You're sitting
Hmm.
back because that's, yeah,
And I mean, and I'm sure you can also agree if you don't know how to make wigs, but if you have the budget, it doesn't hurt to get a wig commissioned.
commissioned. Yeah, I know a lot of people who do wig commissions. I personally never gotten one commissioned or been a commissioner for someone else. Um, but it's definitely something to look into if there's like a very elaborate wig that you want and know that you don't have the time, energy, or skill to accomplish, because there are just certain hairstyles out there that are a lot. I think like I said earlier, Yu-Gi-Oh can be kind of insane. Dragon Ball at times is a lot. Even certain Hoyoverse characters, they can have a lot going on with their hair. Um, so pick your battles. There are
Oh
certain
yeah,
wig
no.
techniques I haven't even, like, I'm kind of mastering spikes at this point. I'm trying to get better at my spikes. They're not perfect yet, but they're getting there. Um, it took a lot of practice. But I have not done like a glued hairline or anything like that yet. Um, you develop those skills over time. Everything with cosplay is like skills developed over time. So, start with bangs, move on from there.
No, that's some real sound advice there.
Yeah.
Um, see. Oh yeah. So I've seen on your Instagram
Yeah.
that you've been a guest for conventions. What is that like being a guest for
Yeah.
conventions and just attending conventions as a guest? And have you also ever like been in cosplay contests as well for a convention? And not
Oh,
just like
yeah.
being as like
So, yeah. Um, I think little Candy Mon, he would not. I don't think he would believe like the things that I've gotten to do as a cosplayer, and the things that the amazing opportunities that I've been able to have. And I hope he would be proud of me, because I really do think it's an honor to be a guest at these events and to be able to work with so many lovely events. So I've been a guest my first formal guesting spot was with Borough Comics and Cards Show. and that was a lovely time where I got to basically introduce all of the cosplay events, and I got to pose for pictures, and I signed some autographs. There was this I will never get out of my head this lovely young girl whose dad had driven her to the card show to so she could meet me, um, and she bought a bracelet and a checky and an autographed poster from me. And that was the first time I really had to like sign something for something else outside of the maid cafe that I worked at. So being meaning that much to her in that way was an honor. And that was so like I that's an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. I love that. I was also a guest at uh We Touch Grass, which is a anime. Yeah,
Oh,
they're an anime themed rave company. They were also doing some K-pop raves now. Um, and I was a cosplay guest at their Boston rave a few months ago, and that was also a blast. I got to hang out with some of my friends, and I got to meet some new friends and help host their little cosplay contest that they had. That was so much fun. And yeah, I'm also going back to the upcoming Northeast Comic Con. I helped them out a lot, so I I'm going back. So if you guys want to see me, I'll be there again. I'll have my little table, and you guys can come and say hi. Um, and that it's always a pleasure getting to meet people as a guest like that. I never would have thought I'd be seen as important enough to be asked to come to these events just to say hi to people, but that's been awesome. It's been an awesome opportunity for me. And then as for you were asking about cosplay competition, I haven't done a lot in terms of cosplay competition recently, but I have done a few masquerades. I got a judges award at Pop Cult Anime Con a few years ago with my team Pastel Wings. We are
your team what now?
Yeah, Pastel Wings. I think it's linked in my bio.
All right, team pest. I'll just okay. Oh, that's your is that your idol group or?
Yeah, we're an idol group and cosplay group.
All right, I will put
Um,
that. I'll put that in the on the list. You can send me a picture of what your group
yeah,
looks like.
yeah,
Team Pastel Wings.
yeah.
All right.
We so we did a performance for the Pop Cult Anime Con Masquerade, and we got a judges award for that a few years ago. And then I think the biggest thing I've ever won was Otaku Sekai is a business that I've worked with before, but when I first the first time I ever visited them, it was this event that they were holding for their grand opening. Um, and they were holding like a masquerade for that, and I won Best in Show there. Um,
Nice.
and that was amazing. And then ever since then, we've had a great working relationship with Otaku Sekai, and I've also been involved in that competition ever since. I judged 2 years ago, and then last year I was the masquerade coordinator.
Very nice. What's been your favorite cosplay contest cosplay that you've entered in?
Oh, I guess it is that Deku then, because um I don't think I really have any. If I do, they're super old, but I have I was
Excuse me.
wearing that gym uniform, but I had this light attachment that I had made, and they're like these string lights, but they're very lightweight. Um and meant to be like used in clothing, and I would attach them to there was kind of a battery pack that I put in my sleeve of the gym
Nice.
uniform, and then I wrapped those around my arms to simulate like the black lightning thing, and then
Ooh.
I put that's why I used to do the makeup with the green lightning on my face, because I wanted it to show it like traveling up through my body. and that was what won that competition. So that's a costume that I always look back on fondly because it really was something that it won. Not only did it win the competition, but it was also something that creatively I felt really fit me, and a lot of people and other people enjoyed it, and I really like feeding off the energy of other people. And when other people really enjoy what I'm doing, then that gives me joy too.
Nice.
So
So real quick before I talk about the cosplays you've done
yeah.
over the years, the maid group, what was that like?
Sorry, can you the
The
maid
maid,
cafe?
yeah, yeah, the maid cafe. What was that like?
Oh yeah. So I'm with Yume Cafe now. It's called. It used to be called Otaku Sekai Cafe. Um, and we're based out of the Otaku Sekai business, and it's done periodically for events within their store. So basically, it's a group of us that'll come in and we'll try to recreate kind of an authentic maid cafe experience,
Ooh.
where you'll have different performers and a lot of us perform in character. Come up to you, try to uh, we'll serve you drinks, and we have tea and cookies and
Ooh.
candy and all sorts of stuff, and we'll talk with you, and we'll play games, and I'll do a dance for you. We do dancing on this little stage. In my little picture, you'll see me actually sitting on that stage
Mm.
in the store. And this is just done periodically for store events, usually around different holidays.
Nice.
My character's made Candy. Um, he's a very feminine boy like I am, and he takes a lot after Honey Senpai from Oran High School Host Club. He's the only cross-dressing male character at the cafe. Everyone else is a girl, so he's a little left out, but he's definitely the life of the party. And um,
He talks in a really like high pitched voice like this. Uh,
and he carries around his little bunny named Strawberry. So Strawberry's also in that picture.
Yeah, I saw the one that looks like Usa, not Usa, but Usa-chan.
It was a 10. Yeah, Strawberry's kind of got a personality all his own. He's got an attitude problem. Um, he'll make sure that that you tip well, and that you eat your food and you don't make a mess.
I
Um,
love it.
and he's in all the photos that when people take Polaroids with me at the end of the day, he'll be in the photos a lot of the time too. Sometimes I have the customer hold him instead of me. He's got a brother named Sorbet. Sorbet is actually sitting right next to me during this. So Sorbet, they're both Amuse bunnies. So I love being able to interact with customers in that way, and that's and in character like that. So that's kind of my experience there. But yeah, just keep a lookout for those events like that at Otaku Sekai. They're located in Auburn, Massachusetts.
Nice. Sorry. So
Yeah, no
finally,
problem.
uh, so now onto the cosplays you've done over the years. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
these. There are very specific cosplay questions I'll ask. What's that one cosplay you've not done in so long that you would like to bring back?
Oh gosh, gosh, gosh. Okay, now you're making me have to scroll through the old stuff that I've done. Wow, wow. Let me open my Cos Planner app. If you guys don't have Cos Planner, it's great. They're a it's just an app you can download from the App Store that'll keep track of like all the costumes you have and the costumes you're planning and all the parts you need for them and stuff like that. Great resource, honestly. Um, Who would I want to bring back? As I'm scrolling through. I mean, I guess there was that costume that I won that judges award in. I want to make a lot of upgrades to it. It was um Omoi Yohitotsu ni Nare, which I know is a long title. Pardon me. Yohane from Love Live.
Oh,
It was so
yo. Wait, so it's Yohane?
It's Yohane in the Omoi yo Hitotsu ni Nare outfit. Or just Omoi. We call it Omoi.
Um, okay, I'm pulling them up right now.
Yeah.
Is it, you can tell me if I'm wrong.
No, that is the Yohane outfit from her spin-off show that she got.
Um,
Um, you can do Yohane and then Omoi, Omoi.
O M, wait, is it, how do you spell it?
Omoi. It's just the first word of the song that the outfit's from.
Oh! Uh, d- 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 okay,
Yes, 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 yes. That is.
okay.
So I actually had done a gender bent original design of that outfit, because we were gender bending Yohane to male. Another great part about doing cosplay is that you can kind of make it your own. If you want a costume that fits better with your identity, since I'm a guy, it made more sense to me to flip that character's gender. So I had made that outfit with a lot of care, and I I ironed on these stupid polka dots. So the backstory behind that was my all of those outfits have polka dots, and the two other members of my team had found the perfect fabric that already had polka dots for their dresses. But the problem was we couldn't find a polka dot fabric in that very specific blue color because there's also another character in that same group that has a different shade of blue. So we had to go to Joann's and find that very specific like periwinkle blue color. And then I had to individually iron on polka dots. And I ironed on over 100 polka dots. And I burned myself with the iron when I was ironing on the polka dots. And I think I could still see a little bit of where the burn mark is. Just kind of funny because it's been like 3 years. But I would love to be able to redo that cosplay and bring it back because a lot of the parts for that unfortunately got like ripped or otherwise ruined during the convention. That costume kind of just went through a lot that day because it was a lot of dancing. So um, if I could remake that cosplay and redo it and bring it back, I 100% would. I just haven't had the time.
Let's see here. So, wait, so what was the character's Sorry, I'm it's like,
Oh no, it's okay. So the character's name is Yohane. She's from an anime called Love Live Sunshine, and the
okay.
song that outfit comes from is called Omoi yo Hitotsu ni Nare, which is kind of a mouthful.
Okay. Do you have a picture of that?
Of that costume.
Yeah.
It's a selfie,
Okay.
but
Th-
but I do.
that would still count because that would still show like a full picture of what the character looks like.
Yeah, hold on a minute. I should be able to grab at least one image of that outfit because I do really enjoy that costume. It's I just didn't get too many photos in it. That was a really busy day. Me too. Yeah. Now I'm gonna get the song stuck in my head because the thing with all the outfits from Love Live is because they're all from individual songs. So, well, most of them are. Some of them aren't, but there we go.
Okay. Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Those are some those are some pretty big contact lenses too.
Yeah, that was actually, I think that was from my sponsorship with Pinky Paradise.
I've heard of them.
Yeah. So I was sponsored and I still technically am. Use code Candy Mon at checkout. But um I was given some contact lenses by Pinky Paradise to try out. So
Let's see, next question. What's that one cosplay that, as I call them, one and done? Like you did it because a friend asked you, you did it because you were curious, but like at the end of the day, it just did not fit the vibe.
Butler Deku. Um,
Butler, what?
Butler Deco. Okay, so here's the backstory. So I was going. So the pandemic was finally starting to like lift a little bit, and I hadn't been to an event in well over a year at this point. It had been like a year and a half since I had been to an in-person cosplay event of any kind. And the first convention in kind of my area was PortCon, Maine, to open back up. So I had actually never been to PortCon, and I've never been since. I kind of want to go back because genuinely the convention itself was very enjoyable. But at the time I was a broke kid. I was 18, but you get the point. And I had this Deku costume. Um, and I had my gym uniform, but a bunch of my friends wanted to do like a My Hero Academia maid cafe. So then me and my friend who cosplayed Shinso were like butlers, and then my friends who cosplayed Bakugo and Todoroki were maids, and we were like the My Hero Maid Cafe. And it only really makes sense when you're in the group, so I've never had to wear it since. So
Nice.
it was a very interesting one and done, but at the end of the day it was a one and done, and I don't really have any good photos of it. Um so that was kind of I've never had an excuse to wear that since, and I haven't really wanted to. So Butler Deku will probably not see the light of day again. Someone thought I was like Villain Deku, which now I have my own costume for Villain Deku. Um, but at the
Nice.
time I did not. So
Let's see here. Is that one? Is that one? Oh yeah. What has been your all-time favorite cosplay? Like, as I call them, a comfort cosplay. It's a cosplay that you'll want to wear any chance you get.
it's such a it's so hard because there has been, I think, during different periods of my life I've had different comfort cosplays. Um Kind of earlier on into me cosplaying, it was Ruby Kurosawa from Love Live.
Wait,
Because
who?
she was Ruby from Love Live. Um she was also from Love Live Sunshine. If you can't tell, that's my favorite season of Love Live. And I also cosplay a lot from Love Live. Just at the time I was cosplaying a lot of Love Live, and Ruby was my favorite costume from that. So she was a pretty big comfort to me at that time. Um as I kind of went further, Deku for a while was a big comfort cosplay for me. But then I also have, and I still post them. I had actually redone them recently. I had this OC from like a Danganronpa OC that I had created back when I was like 17, and I used to cosplay them all the time. And they were a huge source of comfort for me, and I still really enjoy cosplaying them. So I reworked them recently.
Nice.
So I also have them on my page quite frequently, excuse me. So yeah,
I've actually recently watched Danganronpa,
you did.
dramatical murder, like the one that the game is it the game first or was it the anime first?
So Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc was the first game in the series. And then ever since then, Danganronpa's had a very weird release schedule. So the game came out first. I think it was just the first game. And somewhere around a similar time, the anime came out, as did the second game. So it,
Okay.
and then there's Danganronpa 3, which is an anime, but it's not, they never adapted the second Danganronpa game into an anime. They just did Danganronpa 3, which is an anime standalone, which does not have a game version.
Hmm.
Um, and then they have Danganronpa V3, which is the third video game, but it is not a game adaptation of the third anime. It gets really complicated.
Gotcha.
Um, Someone's probably got a chart breaking it down that explains it better than my
I
brain could.
probably do. I don't want to like it. It just it's just that's too much to go over
Exactly, it's too
detail.
much. It is too much. Technically, the series Danganronpa as a series is over, quote unquote, but their Coskodaka has created a lot of spin-offs and like supplementary material, so there's also all of that.
Now on to, as I call them, cosplays you're working on, upcoming cosplays, and a dream cosplay. So, what are some cosplays you are currently working on for this year, and what is that all-time dream cosplay? Like, is a cosplay you either don't have the skill, the time, or money to do yet, but when you get the chance to, you will want to do it.
So I've got a few upcoming cosplays. I'm reworking for people who have seen really, really early Candy Mon TikTok. They might remember that I had a very casual Joe Tazuna cosplay from Your Turn to Die back in 2020 when that game was becoming really popular. Um, and I'm finally reworking that costume. I just got the wig in the mail today. And I'm going to start working on that hopefully
And it's
soon.
called Joe Tazuna.
Yeah, Joe Tazuna from Your Turn to Die. Um, he's my favorite character from that game, and I'm currently replaying the game. So,
Oh, you can tell me if I'm wrong.
yeah, yep, that guy, love him. Um,
So that is a character you have cosplayed then too?
yeah, I have cosplayed him in the past, and I'm currently doing a total rework. It's all new parts,
All right,
like
Joe Tazuna.
not a single old part from that first costume, because I'm totally reworking everything.
Nice.
So that's a cosplay I'm working on. I'm also working on. She's almost done. She's really close to done. Do you know who Neurosama is?
No, I do not.
Okay, so there's this Twitch content creator by the name of Vidal, and he's a programmer. And he created a artificial anime girl, like an AI anime girl who's a VTuber, and her name is Neurosama. And he does these streams where he'll talk back and forth with her. He'll play games with her. Um, she'll talk about taking over the world, and it's
Is you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
yay! Yeah, that's Neuro.
Neurosama. Okay.
Yeah, she's a little menace to society, and I love what Vidal's been able to do with her, and sort of the memery of her existence. I'm kind of cosplaying her as a meme, but I also genuinely love watching Vidal's streams with her. So, um, and she's recently won a VTuber award. Well, technically Vidal did, but she's the VTuber that Vidal has. So, um, and someone bought a billboard of Vidal and Neurosama on in New York City to advertise um, for that award. But they won a VTuber award, and I'm gonna cosplay Neuro soon, so she's almost done. Hopefully, I can start posting her in the next few weeks. And then this is both my dream cosplay and a cosplay I'm working on. Finally, because I've been saying I've been wanting to do this since the beginning of me cosplaying, and everyone's like, finally. My favorite character from any piece of media of all time is Henry from the game Fire Emblem Awakening. He's voiced by Bryce Papenbrook, so you might recognize his voice at least a little
Hey,
bit.
I'm familiar with Fire Emblem. I've never played the
Yeah,
games, but I know people who've cosplayed and have played
yeah.
the game.
Henry,
Is he the one with the blue hair?
no, Henry is a far more, I shouldn't say like really, really obscure character. He's popular within his own fandom. Like he
Oh,
has his own kind of fan base around him, but he's obscure in the grand scheme of things. Yes, yes, yes. So he's a character I've been very emotionally attached to since I was like 13. Um and I love him very, very much. I own there is not much official merchandise of Henry, therefore I don't own any of it. But I do own a lot of fan merch of Henry. Um and I am finally making my own costume for him. This is going to be for the Katsucon cosplay Met Gala event, where the theme this year, I believe, maybe don't quote me on this exactly, but I believe the theme is like mystery and macabre.
ooh.
And as a like very mysterious and dark character, I figured Henry would be a great fit. Um, so I'm redesigning him with a lot of the Plegian designs in Fire Emblem in mind, and making sort of a Met Gala high class outfit for him that I'll be wearing to KatsuCon. And I'm
Nice.
super excited for this event, and I'm super excited to finally be wearing this outfit. If I were to talk about those a specific costume that I don't have the budget for that I dreamed of doing, it would still be Henry, but he has this alt outfit from Fire Emblem Heroes of him in a bunny outfit, and I love bunnies so much. I love bunnies. And his outfit, it's like Springtime Henry is like the name of the outfit, but it's like Easter themed. And so I would love that outfit with like the full bow and everything with the weapon and stuff. That would be so fun.
Oh, I can't wait. You could have a crow with it as well.
I'm hoping maybe I'll do a crow. I want to get a crow for that outfit at some point. It might not come in time for Katsu though. And I don't think I can build a crow, unfortunately.
No, that is completely fair.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So you already answered the one question I was about to ask about a weird, messed up con experience you have. But before that, ever had any cosplays, like any cosplay missteps that, ripped, teared, shattered, broke, whether you were getting ready for the con, at the con, or like even a prop broke or something like happened after you had a picture taken?
Oh, okay. So, because I've had a few costume malfunctions, so I have to kind of think of which ones are worse. Um, in terms of like a personal cosplay thing that I had happen, I was at a school event, because actually my college had a cosplay club. Um, and I was a member of the cosplay club. I was very heavily involved with it. I wasn't on like their board because I was actually the president of the anime club.
I
And
remember those.
yeah, and it took up a lot of my time, so I didn't have enough time to also be on the board of the cosplay club, but I did go to their events, and so I went in that Deku costume. Now, when I had bought that Deku costume the first time, I had just turned 18. So I was a bit smaller when I was 18 than I am now. Um, and I hadn't worn those pants in a very long time. I got into the pants okay, and then I drove myself to school. I was fine. But then when I got to like the room where I was waiting with some of my friends before the event started, somehow, some way, I think it was when I sat down, I like ripped my pants open.
Oh no.
Yeah, so luckily I had a friend who dormed at the school. I was a commuter. Um, and she had safety pins. So she grabbed me some safety pins and I went to the bathroom and I safety pinned up my pants because luckily they were in an area where it wasn't like too obvious. So I safety pinned them up and I walked very carefully for the rest of the night. And I managed to survive the rest of the night with them okay. But then I obviously threw them out when I went home. So now I have to buy new pants for my Deku costume.
Yeah, it's never fun when you have when like you have clothes or props or anything at a con or getting ready and like you hear that like, oh
Yeah, you're like,
crap.
oh, I don't even want to think about it.
I
I've
don't
had,
want to look, I don't want to feel it, I just want to get through the day and then it's just
yeah,
so you already answered about I'm so sorry about that con experience that happened to you with that one person that
yeah.
like also cosplay does not equal consent a thing I am a
No,
highly
no.
advocate on this channel. I want everyone to be safe. My motto is be safe and stay safe.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to be the responsibility of the cosplayers to keep having to tell people that cosplay isn't consent, because oftentimes when these types of things happen, they come from externally. Because I think within the cosplay community at this point, we're very aware, or at least we should be, because there are certain people who violate those boundaries. But luckily, I think within the cosplay community, we're very well educated about um, boundaries and um, not not violating said boundaries, but oftentimes it's the people outside the cosplay community who are also attending conventions, like convention goers that may not be cosplayers necessarily, who tend to go out of their way to violate those boundaries. And I think that it's so important that conventions keep reminding everyone about that importance of asking for consent from cosplayers before doing anything. Um, and cosplayers are also just not your property when it comes to the internet, too. Just because someone's cosplaying a character you might find attractive, that does not mean that they are that character, and that does not mean you can treat them as if they are that fictional character. They're a human being who has a life outside of that costume, and it's important to treat them as such.
No, I wholeheartedly agree on that. Just like I always say, again, Ms. mentioned that if you're going to a con, please be respectful of not only the attendees, the con itself, and the cosplayers, but just all around. Again, please be respectful, be mindful. Even as an adult, you should know better. Common sense.
Yeah, common sense, unfortunately, sometimes isn't so common.
It seems to just go out the damn window when you get to that. When you right as you like outside the con is different, like out the doors and everything. But when you're in that con, like I don't know what happens. Like some people's common sense just goes out the window. I don't know why. I don't know how. I'm not gonna like go on a full rant on it just because you know.
Well, yeah, I hear about it with like character performers outside of necessarily a convention environment too. Um, like say at Disney World, sometimes people treat those performers even like they're just the characters and don't really think about the fact that those are also human beings with lives outside the park. And it's kind of the same way with cosplay. Like, yes, you're in that fantasy world of the convention, but that person has to go home at the end of the day like you do. So be respectful of them, their time, their patience, their consent, all that jazz.
No, no, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
So now, what's been a favorite convention experience you've had? Like to this day, it is probably the most fun thing ever. Like you got to meet your favorite voice actor, or just something cool at a convention happened. Like you'll remember to this day.
Well, luckily I've talked about a few of those already with the awards I've won and with the lovely autograph experience and things like that. Um, there's just sometimes whenever I feel like I've done something that's super engaged a lot of people, that those are the types of experiences that I take home and love and remember. And I think at Anime Boston, when I performed there as a dancer, because I dance at a lot of conventions,
Ooh.
and um, that experience, I was very, very nervous dancing on stage at Anime Boston, and that was not my favorite performance I've ever delivered. I was very insecure about it. And the reason for that was just because I was very overworked at the time. I had a lot going on in my life. Um, and I wasn't able to practice the way I wish I could have, and perform to the best of my abilities. Um, but the community's response to that and being in front of so many people and being like, yeah, I auditioned to be at Anime Boston. I got into Anime Boston. I'm standing on stage right now at Anime Boston with thousands of eyeballs who have chosen to be here, who have chosen to sit in this crowd. I had been in this community for so long and had been dancing at these smaller conventions and events, and I had never seen a turnout like this in my life. I like looking out over a crowd of people who some of them knew me, some of them didn't. Looking up and seeing that they were filling the balcony. Anime Boston has a balcony. Um,
It does?
yeah,
Ooh, that would like.
yeah. It's like it felt like I was in a concert venue, and all these people were there to see these idol performers, including myself. And I'm like, wow, that's. I got massive stage fright. Like that was also part of why I screwed up. But the the love I received from the community after that performance, regardless of the quality that I saw in the performance. I don't know if you've seen like fan cams of like K-pop idols before.
Fan what?
Um, they're fan cams, so basically there'll be someone who's holding a camera who's just following one of the dancers on stage.
Oh,
And
okay. I've seen
yeah.
that like that. Oh, like I want. I mean, I've seen like idol groups and maid groups dance to that one song called RPG.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like there were people who filmed me while I was on stage and sent me the videos. It's like, oh, Candy Mon fan cam, Candy Mon fan cam, and I'm like, wow, people thought about me long enough to be like, I'm gonna film a fan cam.
Do you have
Um,
footage? If do you have footage of that, so I could be able to share it with your permission, of course, if you have footage.
yeah, I'll go dig through it and see if I have it, and I'll send it to you if I can find it still. That was from like 2 years ago. But it wasn't, even though I was not proud of that performance, like with myself, because I am admittedly kind of hard on myself, especially as a dancer. And just with the amount of stage fright I felt and all the things I was going through at the time, I couldn't make it like the quality I wanted it to be. It was still the fan community's love and support of me and what I did, and the amount of people who came up to me after that show being like, "Oh, you were Sukasa from Anime Boston." Um, and I was like, "Yeah, I was the Sukasa who danced at Anime Boston." And they're like,
Sukasa? Who's
"Yeah, he's a character from the Project Sekai video games, and that was the dance I was doing was from the Project Sekai game."
is
So he's the one. He's actually pretty far up on my page. He's the one with the yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's him.
oh, Tenma
Uh,
Sukasa? So I will be sure to put that on the
yeah,
list as well.
he's
Continue. Sorry.
yeah, no problem. He's they were like, "Oh, you're the Sukasa from Anime Boston." I'm like, "Yeah." And there would be a bit of like maybe a little shame from my end coming with that, cuz again, I was like that wasn't the best performance I could have given, but the fact that I got so much love really spoke to how these types of events can bring our community together. How a lot of these like dance stages that I do really embrace the community. It didn't matter that I screwed up a little bit. It just mattered that I was having fun and trying to engage with the crowd, and everyone seemed to really appreciate that. And that's a an experience and a feeling that I will hold to my heart for the rest of my life. I genuinely think that's one of the most meaningful experiences I've had to have as a cosplayer.
I mean, I think that's all that really matters as long as you're having fun and doing what you enjoy and just like, as long as you're respectful of others when it comes to the community, I feel like that's what really matters when it comes when it comes to this hobby because let's face it, this hobby and I'm gonna say this for a bit, I'm sure you can agree that cosplay in itself can sometimes can sometimes be a gray area depending on the situation.
Hmm.
Like yeah, I can't I can't really think of any good examples, but like just always be mindful, always be respective of other people, of other cosplayers. There are some who've been there longer than us and others, so they may know more, they may not, but like at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun. We're all here to make friends. We're all here to just enjoy what we do and enjoy the fandoms we're cosplaying from.
Yeah, I think that sometimes people lose sight of that because they get very, and there's nothing wrong with necessarily being competitive, especially if you're in cosplay competitions. And in my particular niche for dance shows and idol shows and things in that of that nature at conventions, auditions at this point can get very competitive because there's a lot of people who are auditioning for the same show you are. But I think I think it's important to remember that you do this for fun first, and that this is something you want to enjoy, and that makes like a positive impact on you and others. And that's what I really love about cosplay. It's like it's a social thing for me. Like I would not I was very lonely in high school, admittedly. Like I think that cosplay gave me a social life that I just didn't have before. So it's important to me that we maintain this as a good social environment where people uplift each other.
Oh no, exactly. Like, like I get the concerns and everything, but like if something's really bothering you about this community, please do speak up,
Yeah.
Like
Be be kind and supportive and make sure everyone around you is also being kind and supportive. Like,
exactly the wholeheartedly 100% on that.
mhm.
Um, which finally brings me to my last question. Any last minute advice you want to throw out there to those who are listening and or watching this?
Advice. Okay. I mean, I think what you just said a minute ago is a perfect springboard for the advice I'd give. I'm unfortunately as someone who is like a guest at events and coordinates events and does all sorts of stuff in that realm, unfortunately, I've seen some negative behavior in the cosplay community, and sometimes, admittedly, that negative behavior has made me like almost sent me into depression. Really, it's I think it's because, and maybe this is like a me problem a little bit, where I've attached a lot of my identity to the cosplay community and cosplaying, and enjoying doing that with my friends, and that's where a lot of my social groups are. So when I see people attacking each other and people becoming increasingly negative towards others in the cosplay community, and when I see like bullying and harassment and bigotry occasionally, it makes me deeply sad. And I think the best piece of advice I could give to anyone is to do cosplay again because it makes you happy. Don't do it because you have to prove something to other people. Don't don't treat it like it's a chore or like it's purely a competition for you, or that um other people don't let other people tell you how to and not to express yourself. Make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you, and that you're not overly invested in the people who are just there to drag you down.
No,
Uh,
I wholeheartedly agree. Just as I said before, be safe, stay safe, and
Stay safe.
if you have any
Yeah.
concerns or questions, it does not hurt to ask the community
Yeah.
personally. Like, as the times go by, things are changing, things are different. Even though your cosplayers who've been doing this for a long time, they're always learning something, and so
Yeah. Don't
like,
don't force yourself to be something that you're not. Love love yourself, love everyone around you. Make sure you keep this a safe and positive space for everyone so that we can all celebrate the fandoms we love without being worried about the the negativity that sometimes we deal with enough negativity from the outside world.
Mhm.
At this point I kind of just roll my eyes whenever I get a comment of like, you're fat, you're ugly, your your teeth are gross or whatever, because it's like, that usually comes from the outside, and
Mm.
I'm just like, yeah, they're gonna call me that no matter what I look like.
As I
Like
will, as I
I could be the
sorry.
most attractive person on the planet and someone would still say that. Like, but you don't also need that negativity from inside. So whether that be you telling negative comments to yourself, or you allowing people into your life who give you that negative feedback. So make sure that you're surrounded with people who can support, uplift, give advice, take advice, um, support this community in a positive way, enjoy the company of one another without tearing each other down. And I think that would be the best advice I can give.
Oh no, wholeheartedly. I think that should do it. Real quick before we end this, well, excuse me, Candy Mon, where can people find you on social media if they want to stay up to date with your cosplays or potentially meet you at a convention?
So my next big appearance is going to be at Northeast Comic Con. So I'm currently working with them on a show called Northeast Idol Project, and that is my the idol dance show that I help produce with them. And you will see me and my group Pastel Wings dancing there. So if you want to come see me in person, that's probably the best place to see. So that's Northeast Comic-Con in Boxborough, Massachusetts. In terms of where you can find me, unfortunately, TikTok may be down by the time this comes out or by the time you're
Hopefully,
listening.
hopefully they
Hopefully it will
hopefully
not
can.
be.
We'll
But
see.
in those in that situation, so my TikTok where I'm the most active is underscore Candy underscore Mon underscore. Lots of underscores in there, I know, but you'll probably write it in the description or
Oh
something.
yeah,
So
I always put,
people,
I try my best.
yeah.
I try my best to put the links below. Not always. I try.
That's my at on both Instagram and TikTok, and it's also my ID on Xiaohongshu, which is known by others as Red Note. I've been on there for like 6 months, and now a ton of cosplayers are invading, so I guess I'm not alone anymore as the one American cosplayer on that app. So my Red Note is also underscore Candy underscore Mon underscore. I am on the dreaded Bird app as Candy M0N because I refuse to call it X.
No, no, a
Um,
lot of people refuse to call it that. I am with
um,
you down that.
you can basically find me everywhere. Just type in Candy Mon and you'll probably stumble across me, or Candy Mon cosplay or something like that, and you'll stumble across me somewhere. I've got a YouTube, I've got a Threads, I've got a Facebook, I've got
Ooh,
Blue Sky. I've got pretty much everything. I've got a lemonade now too. So if
ooh.
you I have this link tree in my bio that's in my TikTok and my Instagram. So if you're curious to see where else I might upload, just explore that link tree and you'll find somewhere that probably suits your social media surfing needs.
I will definitely be sure to put those down there. Again, Candymon, thank you for coming on. Can't wait to
And
see
thank
where.
you.
Oh no, you're welcome. As I always say, the guests make the channel.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your cosplay experience. Thank you for sharing your convention experience. Can't wait to see what you do later down the road. And yeah,
Yeah. And
um,
thank you again so much for
oh,
inviting me
of
and
course.
posting an invite for cosplayers like us to be on the show. It's always nice to have a podcasting platform and someone to talk to about our
No,
community and our work.
always.
So thank you so much.
I'm always happy to support the community in any way I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.